Oh my goodness, we have breaking news coming out of Carolina. Head coach Dave Canales has just announced that Bryce Young will be starting at quarterback this week versus the Denver Broncos.
First of all, I'm sure you've heard Andy Dalton was in a car accident yesterday with his family, with JJ and the kids. And a scary moment for sure. Everyone was okay. Everyone was healthy. Unfortunately, in the accident, he did sprain his thumb. So Bryce will be playing this week for us. And we'll be evaluating Andy day to day going into this weekend to see if we can get him up as the 2 on game day.
Now, this may not be the circumstances that we all thought or expected it could happen, but yes, Bryce Young will be the starter. Andy Dalton got into a car accident yesterday and totaled his vehicle, and in the process sprained his thumb. Fortunately, everybody else is fine. It's only minor injuries, but his throwing hand suffered an injury. Apparently, he was driving that Tesla with his hand, and that thumb got sprained. Nobody was hurt with major injuries, like I said, which is crazy to me because I've heard that these Teslas are a piece of junk, but that's neither here nor there. Andy Dalton and his family are fine, but his thumb has his status for Sunday as doubtful or questionable. Regardless, he's not starting. According to Dave Canales, Andy may be the quarterback too if things progress, but he did not practice today. He was very, very secluded, had his hands in his hoodie tucked in, wasn't really trying to show or disclose anything. So we got to talk about what this means for the team going forward and everything related. Real quick, if you're new to the channel, I'm Aaron Duncan. Hit that subscribe button down below. Stop what you're doing. Hit that like button as well. That helps me out in the algorithm because I do this Panthers content, rain, sleet, snow, or hail, because there's been a lot of raining and dark clouds over this franchise since I've been making videos. But if you want to join on this journey of misery, hit that subscribe button down below because I give you these news and updates and film breakdowns, because today's update has been huge. Now, there's been a lot of back and forth because Andy Dalton's play has tapered off over the last few weeks, and he's had one of the worst games, according to ESPN, in terms of their QBR. He had one of the lowest rated games, just even lower than Bryce Young's stinker versus the LA Chargers. So the ever since that Raiders game where he got the first win of the season, things have kind of tapered off. Now, of course, they moved the ball at times in certain games, but they've really been taking advantage of bad defenses. And so it seemed like once they started playing better defenses like the Bears and even the Commanders, who weren't really a great defense, things really started to hit the fan. So that caused a lot of back and forth from the national media, from fans saying, like, if we're going to lose stinkers like this, you might as well throw Bryce Young in there and see what he has to evaluate him at this point, because what else do we have to lose? If we're going to lose and Andy Dalton's going to make crazy rookie-like mistakes during games, you might as well let the inexperienced guy come in here and make the same mistakes. Our defense is the worst in league history. We're not going to win many games anyway. You might as well evaluate Bryce before you move forward, because them vultures and them teams around the league, the trade rumors are swirling. People want to know, are the Panthers going to trade Bryce Young? Are they going to trade him during the year? Are they going to wait till after the year? What do they do? Because originally we've heard reports that they benched Bryce Young after those first 2 games because stuff was just going very, very bad, and they had to kind of stop the skid and the slide of what was going on with the team. I can't lie. I like Bryce Young, but he was playing like straight doo-doo. I can't even excuse that. But at the same time, those were pretty solid defensive units at the time that he faced, and I just think that the lack of preparation, it just seemed like a recipe for disaster. If Bryce Young was this bad throughout the offseason, why didn't they not give him more time in the preseason? If Bryce Young was this bad during that, why didn't they start Andy Dalton at the beginning of the year anyway? So there's just been a lot of question marks around the process of Bryce Young, whether he's played up to par or not. But regardless, it's always funny because Dave Canales was being very, very steadfast that Andy Dalton was the quarterback. Dave Canales is even talking about saying he's been excited to get Bryce Young this opportunity because Bryce has been working so hard. And T-Bone from WFNZ pointed it out. He was like, is that so? Because really, he wasn't even talking his name. He was treating Bryce Young like Voldemort. He would not talk about Bryce Young. He would not talk about the situation. He would not even acknowledge Bryce Young potentially going back in. But now he's saying that he's excited. The inconsistencies are crazy. That's why I think his time with the Carolina Panthers long term, it ain't going to really happen here, in my opinion. What do we expect from Bryce Young? I'm not going to lie. I'm not expecting a lot. I'm not expecting a lot. You really can't control how this stuff happens. I mean, it is what it is. But the fact that Bryce Young is stepping back onto the field as a starter against a top-notch defense like the Denver Broncos, it sounds like a recipe for disaster to me. You can look at Las Vegas right now. They already have the Panthers as a 9.5-point underdogs on the road to the Denver Broncos. I'm looking at my bookie because they're the sponsor of this video. My bookie is where I've been laying all my bets. And of course, just because the Panthers have been sorry this year doesn't mean you can't take advantage of them being sorry, because you know they're going to give up 20 to 30 points every week. You can bet on that and take advantage, especially with my promo code UBST at my bookie. You can get 100% deposit match on your first deposit, so you can make twice as much money on what you can do betting on the Panthers' misery. I've been betting on them all year. I've been telling y'all about it all year, betting against them. It is the one way to make the games a lot more interesting. And so when you're suffering watching your favorite team play bad, you can at least have a little upside, make a little bit of money. Sign up with UBST, get that 100% deposit match, bet on anything, anytime, anywhere, and get it with my bookie. Now, Bryce Young's problem just seemed to be like he wasn't throwing down the field. It didn't seem like he was seeing the field well. He was leaving clean pockets when the protection was actually decent. I think Dave Canales benched him just because they felt like, hey, we're not this bad. We need to see how bad we actually are with getting Bryce out of there. I think putting Andy in there put some things into perspective and really revealed the fact that this team is still not very good despite who's playing quarterback. And the offensive line is solid. They have some favorable matchups. They've taken some lumps going against certain matchups as well. But for the most part, we have a upper tier offensive line in the NFL. We can really run the ball. Chuba Hubbard is an efficient runner. We do have something maybe in Excel, and Jalen Coker and Deontay Johnson has shown some flashes of having wide receiver one potential. So we were able to evaluate that when Andy Dalton was in there. But like I said, things have really simmered down, and it came to sober us up to realize that, hey, these guys aren't that good. Andy Dalton isn't that much better than Bryce Young. We just have a horrible defense as well that makes it hard for us to really do anything consistent on offense and gives us very little room for error for a unit that's not that talented anyway. I personally am under the belief that some of the issues that Bryce Young has, it's not something that's going to be fixed for sitting 3, 4, whatever amount of weeks that he's been sitting. This is something that needs to be worked on during the offseason and drilled in. And I thought personally that he deserved to go somewhere else with a new voice in his ear, with a new system, with less pressure. When you're the number 1 overall pick, there's a lot of pressure that comes with it, especially when you trade up for the guy. And no matter what, people are still going to tie him to that. When you go to a new place, they probably gave up a mid-low pick for you. There's not a lot of pressure on you to perform. The weight of the franchise is not on your shoulders. You can play a little bit more carefree, and you also play for a team that actually wants you and can make something happen. I expect Bryce Young's better football days to be ahead of him. I just don't think it's going to be with the Panthers. But with this move happening now, I think it puts to bed any type of possibility of Bryce Young being traded at the deadline. Now you're looking at, hey, does he audition for a long-term future either here or somewhere else in the offseason? That's kind of how the outlook is going forward. But with Bryce Young going against this top-notch Broncos defense, I do not feel good about the prospects, just to be honest. And you guys know me. I am one of the bigger Bryce Young fans out there. They're second in EPA per play allowed, which is expected points added. They're third in success rate allowed. They're first in explosive play rate allowed, first in pass rush win rate, and third in pressure rate. Basically, if you're going to drop back to pass the ball, it's not going to be an ideal outcome. So we need to run the football to give Bryce Young a chance to even not be looking at the sky all game because he's on his back. So I think the Panthers will have to run the ball and do it successfully to have any type of chance of success this Sunday. But I think with our bad defense, like usual, the running game gets deleted completely and it turns into a drop back game, which sounds like a recipe for disaster. So I don't want to get my hopes up. If you're in the Pro Football Focus, they have the Broncos defense ranked as the number 2 in the league. They have one of the leading pressure getters coming off the edge in Zach Allen. Of course, they have an elite corner in Pat Surtain II. They are loaded on defense, man. I don't like the prospects of it for Bryce Young. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit weary about it. Call me a skeptic if you like, but you know you guys come here for me to keep it real with y'all. I'm not going to sit here and lie to y'all. This is just how I feel. And like I said, this is me as a supporter of Bryce Young. But regardless, that's why they play the game. Things aren't played on paper, but you have to kind of feel anxious or excited about or interested in seeing how things are going to turn out. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're completely out on Bryce, but I am very curious to see how Sunday is going to go at the least. But Bryce Young, this is an opportunity for him to take advantage. We'll see what happens. I know it's not ideal, but here, come here, man. If you're watching this, listen to everybody, man. Nobody believes in you. Not even me currently right now. What are you prepared to do? The opportunity is in front of you again. You know what I'm saying? Dave Canales ain't want to give it to you. Unfortunately, fate and crazy stuff happens in this life that you have an opportunity to play quarterback again, whether unfortunate circumstances or not. You can take advantage of this and bounce back. Like I said, I'm skeptical, but the opportunity is there. This is why we watch the NFL, because crazy stuff happens. Anything can happen. You know what I'm saying? We always have some drama going on in Carolina. It's not been an easy year with all these injuries. They coming from on the field. They're coming from off the field with Andy Dalton getting hurt. Regardless, Bryce Young didn't ask for this scenario, but he's back as a starting quarterback here. He's going to get a chance to shine. I would love for it to be a storybook ending. Bryce Young to turn this thing around, start playing well, and keep his spot for the rest of the year. We don't have to worry about drafting no quarterback, and we never look back. But some things only happen in fairy tales. I pretty much still stand by the fact that I think Bryce Young is done here in Carolina long term. But for now, he's our guy. I'm going to support him on Sunday. You guys let me know how you feel. Get in the comments section right now. Let me know how you feel about Bryce Young being the starter now. What do you expect from him on Sunday against that top-notch Broncos defense? And do you think he can turn things around? You think he sit on the bench long enough and learned enough from watching Andy Dalton play that he should be able to play better? Let me know how you feel down below. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.